To anybody who's been experiencing like an especially weird winter this year, like maybe you feel like you've been isolating more, maybe you feel like you're not as social, maybe you feel like everything feels like a daze, like you're just dissociating and everything's a blur, there's like no clarity and it just feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe you're even able to give yourself grace or compassion and tell yourself, well, everything will get better in the spring. I will just tell you, this has just been one of the weirdest winters I have ever experienced. And I don't know if that's just my basic human memory and maybe I just don't remember what other winters were like, but this one especially has like just been taking a toll on me and in a much different way than winter ever has. And what I mean by that is like I expect to be a little bit distraught and stressed or depressed or lazy during winter. I mean, it happens every year, so it's not like I was like confused when all of a sudden the weather got cold and then I was like, oh, I don't really want to go outside. Like, duh. I even made it a point to like plan out my winter so that I could be more compassionate and that I could have a little bit less work to do. Like really take on winter like other animals do. Be okay with the fact that I'll probably gain 5 pounds and then lose it immediately in the spring. Add a little bit more buffer time in my schedule because I'm gonna be cold. I'm not gonna want to do things all the time. But for whatever reason, I have unearthed a different layer of like anxiety and depression and just feeling like lost and apathetic. And I've never been in this like 6th layer of hell. I don't know if it's because I'm at a different point in my life and I'm in a different point of my like healing journey and whatnot and I have a different level of awareness, or if it's just like particular things that are going on within my life right now. Probably a mixture of a bunch of things. But to describe it in a way that makes the most sense to somebody else, it's like I'm very aware when I'm feeling anxious or sad or when I'm dissociating, and I'm being compassionate towards myself and I'm like okay with those things because I understand that I'm a human and I'm going to experience different emotions for different reasons. But one, there's like a weirdness or like an unfamiliarity with the fact that I'm being so compassionate with myself. And no, I'm like past the phase of being apprehensive as to why I'm being nice to myself. Like I trust that I have good intentions and that's why I'm being compassionate towards myself. It's more of just like, like we're here and I guess we're just gonna be okay with being healed. But I guess a lot of what's going on is I'm like, where is the zest? Where is the chaos? Where is the bear around the corner? I am fully getting out of survival mode and I'm a little bit bored. And it's not even just like, I do not want like unnecessary chaos, but it's like getting out of a weird space of not constantly putting ourselves under analysis, not constantly being under a microscope, not having to have some type of psychology or therapy explanation for every single thing that I do, and just learning how to be human again. And honestly, as I'm talking, I'm realizing that I'm probably just going through a different layer and a different form of a cycle of grief of pretty much the same onion, which is just that at one point in time, we were all kids and we didn't have any type of conditioning. We were just like this blank slate. And throughout our lives and by different people and by different means, we learn how to be a specific type of person. And then like the whole point of going to therapy or self-help or all these different things is to pretty much just continue to peel back layers of that onion so that you can be what you were when you were a baby and a child, which is just, being a human who, listens to their intuition and just does the things that they need to when they need to and figures out how to live in this world based off of the structures that are currently in place in the most authentic way that they can. But what do you do once you start to learn how to do that, or you're getting to a place where you feel like you're really getting closer to the center of that onion? And you know what it reminds me of? One time a long time ago when you could text Ask Cha-Cha, I was like 18 and I was like off the zaw. Like I was out there, I was spaced out, dude. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask Cha-Cha, like, what happens when a Pokemon master like catches them all? Because like that's the phrase, right? You gotta catch them all. So I text the question to Ask Cha-Cha and it gets back to me like a minute later and it's like, yeah, so what happens when a Pokemaster like gets all the Pokemon, catches them all? You just get like bragging rights that you caught them all. And to say that I was disappointed with the answer is a huge understatement. Like you don't get any type of prize, you don't get a car, you don't get like free travel for the rest of your life. You're just like, oh yeah, I caught them all, dude. What? And I feel like that's just kind of what happens when you learn how to be yourself and you get to this like center of the onion and you're like, cool, like I'm not in survival mode anymore and I'm being authentic and I'm doing all the things I've always wanted to do. And you're standing there and you're like, okay, where's my prize? And they're like, you just get the bragging rights. What? Like, that's it? I just get to say, like, I conquered all my trauma. I caught all my suppressed feelings. Yay. Like, thanks. But I do think that there's a prize that a lot of us don't really pay attention to, which is we get to choose how we want to live moving forward, which sounds really overwhelming if you're not ready for that. And maybe that's kind of the point where I'm at now, where I'm excited to do that. And I've been doing that, but it's just getting that clarity of, okay, well, what do I do now? I guess in the same sense of what would a fictional Pokemon master do once they've already caught them all? What does a professional athlete do when they can no longer play ball and they have to find a different way to live their life, even though they've been training for that their entire life? Maybe I'll make a whole video on that. Like, you know, if you've been training your whole life to be in trauma and now you have to like get a different job, like it's a weird transition. It's a weird process. And I guess if you use that same metaphor, like a pro athlete or even just like a high school athlete could spend the rest of their days talking about the glory days of when they were like one of the best quarterbacks or whatever. Or they can just mention like, yeah, that was something that I did and it was definitely an accomplishment or whatever it might be. And now I do a podcast and I'm an accomplished writer. And I guess like those are the two different ways you could look at your own trauma. We could sit in that identity for the rest of our lives, even though we're not experiencing it anymore, or we could take it and still acknowledge its existence, that, you know, it happened. And then, you know, it's like, but now what? Where are we going now? But anyway, yeah, I want to start rediscovering a lot of hobbies and passions that I used to just enjoy so much that for whatever reason, I just haven't done in like a long time. For example, I used to set aside like one night a week to just go through different songs and find new songs so that I could be able to update my playlists every single week. So I would have different music in rotation. And I haven't done that in a very long time, like maybe a little bit here and there, but not nearly as often as I used to. And it shows because I'm just not as excited to listen to my music in the car. And music is a very important thing to me. And I can tell that that's one of the ways I've just been letting like my passions like just be drained out of my life. And then I'm wondering why I'm so miserable. I used to cook a whole lot and I'm realizing I used to do that a lot for other people. And maybe that's why I kind of stopped, because why would I just do it for myself? And now that I think about it, I kind of did that with the music as well, because I wanted to be like the person with the best playlist, like give me the aux, LOL. But maybe that's part of it too, is when you start to heal and, you know, you start to realize that you can go after your passions and these hobbies for yourself. You don't have to do it for other people. I can find music for myself, not necessarily just because I want to play it so other people can think that I have good taste in music, or I can make recipes that are new and interesting for my taste and what I want to try, instead of just, you know, having it on hand for other people. Like, yeah, if other people benefit, that's awesome, but it doesn't have to solely be for other people. It doesn't have to be black and white thinking. It can be for multiple reasons. But maybe it's just time for us to all find like a balance of like a healthy amount of selfishness. You know, I heard someone say one time that selfish isn't a bad thing, that if you look at the word, it's even saying like self-ish, like I'm kind of self-involved, like self-ish, you know? And so what is your healthy amount of doing things for yourself and doing things for other people and just navigating this world and figuring out, you know, what brings you passion and joy again? Because I want you all to be here. You deserve to have an amazing, wonderful life that you enjoy. And I'm not saying there's not going to be times where life is boring or there's moments where it's just stressful and it's just like, oof, like the universe is testing me. But what is just going to bring you back down to reality and go, you know what? Overall, I'm happy or I'm content. Like this is okay. I'm okay with the way my life is going, you know, and we'll figure it out as we go. How can you remember how to be human again? Maybe that's what I want to do with my videos from here on out, is just help people just remember how to be a human, because I think a lot of us forget that. And that's why we get so frustrated with ourselves and other humans, because we just think that we have to be this specific way that just takes all just the happiness and passion and creativity and curiosity out of existing. And we're going into a different era, guys. We gotta enjoy what we got going on, because it's beautiful if we let it. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, my name is Sarah. I'm your favorite self-experimenting coach or companion, and I help get people reacquainted with who they most authentically are. You're an amazing person, and I hope you have the best day.